Good to be back here before you for this little short Devo. You know, the many great words that we could think of a mother. There's one word I want to talk about just for a few minutes for this short Devo, and that's the word endurance. So we're going to look at Hagar just for a few minutes, the mother who endured in Genesis chapter 16 and verse 1 through 6. She was a Egyptian slave. She was a maidservant, became the wife of Abraham on Sarah's request. Her life was marked by challenges and she had hardships. All mothers go through challenges and hardships, and yet she demonstrated unwavering faith and endurance. First of all, we're going to look at these four points here. They're really quick, and then we'll just finish up. So, first one, when you think of Hagar, there's a secondary status there in her life. She didn't have much to say becoming Abraham's wife. Even after her status changed, she remained secondary to Sarah. And then when she got pregnant, there was a rift. So there's pregnancy and rift was the second one. Um, Hagar, she became pregnant and with Abraham's child, and then a rift, a little problem developed between her and Sarah. And although we look at the story and we see that she was mistreated, uh, a lot, she fled toward her homeland. But we got to think about there is God's providential care here. There's God's promise here in her life. She was in distress, and you can imagine being in her position. And she encountered the angel of the Lord, and he instructed her to return to and he promised her numerous descendants through her son, whom she named. She had a son. Verse 6 says she named that son Ishmael. And then there's this desert experience. Later, she and Ismail were sent into the desert, and she thought this was it for her and also for her son. But of course, God is faithful, and God remained faithful, and He showed her a well. And then Ishmael grew up in the desert, and he became an archer. And so God was in their lives. He kept His promise. And you think about just in this little story, you could get some takeaways from, this is for the mothers, but this is also for each and every one of us. First of all, we see that she was a woman, a mother who had a lot of endurance in her life. And then number two, she trusted God. She trusted in God and His promises that He made, and finding hope even in challenging circumstances. That's the third point. There's times where you have these challenging circumstances in your life, and it could be between you and your child, whatever it may be. And what are you going to do? You need to continue to push through and continue to have hope and continue to have trust in God, because God, could remove mountains. God is the greatest. We know that. We know that. Sometimes we just put it on us, and we don't go to Him. And she trusted and kept and God kept His promise. She trusted Him. Number four, and it says that think about as mothers, but as men also, we could learn from these. You could draw inspiration from her faithfulness and what she did in her problems and her mistreatment and all that she went through. And being out there in the desert, she relied on the Lord. And so we can think about that. So mothers like Hagar, find strength in your journey. Find strength in the journey as a mother, knowing that God is always with you. And even in the desert problems of your life, when you're facing that, maybe you're facing something that seems like it's hard to bear or almost impossible to bear, you know that God is there with you, and God is going to get you through. And that's the Devo for this time. If you need to respond to the invitation always open for you, and come as we stand and we sing.